We wrote their names on their arms so we could identify them in case of a tragedy. We did the same with our own names. As a deadly flash flood tore through Hill County, Texas, two 19-year-old Mexican women didn't panic, they led. Silvana Garza Valdez and María Paula Zárate were counselors at Camp Mystic, a Christian summer retreat in Kerr County, when disaster struck in the early morning hours of July 5th. The two sprang into action as the Guadalupe River began rising rapidly, guiding 20 young girls in their care to higher ground while chaos unfolded around them. The flash flood was triggered by an intense overnight storm that caused the river to rise 26 feet in just 45 minutes. Over 750 people were asleep when the floodwaters swept through Camp Mystic, ripping away cabins, belongings, and any sense of safety. By 1 a.m., rain was pounding the grounds. By 3 a.m., the power went out, cutting electricity and ventilation in the cabins. Silvana later said, "The windows rattled with thunder, and the lightning was very bright. It was like a movie. I had never seen anything like it." With no guidance from authorities, the two counselors acted on instinct. They calmly gathered the girls, led them to safer cabins, and wrote each child's name on her arm, just in case. They also handed out name tags and reassured the girls with prayers and games, staying awake all night as lightning shook the windows and the river swallowed buildings nearby. Neither counselor slept. They simply waited, in darkness and silence, for help to arrive. The Associated Press confirmed that 27 of the missing were girls from Camp Mystic, the very camp where Silvana and María Paula had been stationed. The counselors remained with the children even after their rescue, refusing to leave their sides until they were safely transferred to another location. It wasn't until nearly 6 p.m. the following day that military vehicles arrived to evacuate the survivors. Once the girls were safe, the weight of the disaster began to sink in. Silvana said, "Thank God we were fine, and most of them were rescued. Obviously, we were going to pray for those who were missing." The most recent count from the Associated Press states that at least 43 people have died in Kerr County alone, with 27 girls still accounted for. María Paula admitted she didn't fully grasp the magnitude of the situation until the military truck pulled away from the wreckage. "I thought I was in a dream. I didn't believe it was real. I never understood the gravity of the situation until we got into the army trucks. Now, questions are swirling about the lack of early evacuation orders." According to the Associated Press, the National Weather Service had issued warnings on Thursday afternoon, forecasting 5 to 7 inches of rain. By early Friday, those warnings escalated to a full flash flood emergency. For many, it was already too late. "Nobody saw this coming," Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly said. Families, counselors, and children were left to fend for themselves. U.S. Representative Chip Roy told reporters there would be a lot of second guessing. Silvana and María Paula made a chilling but necessary decision as the waters rose. "We wrote their names on their arms so we could identify them in case of a tragedy," they said in a televised interview. "We did the same with our own names." María Paula later recalled, "We thought they were going to evacuate us, so we started writing our names on our skin. We gave them their ID tags. We told them to pack a suitcase with their belongings." In the darkest hours of one of Texas's deadliest natural disasters, two young women from Mexico became symbols of bravery, sacrifice, and love. Their actions may have saved 20 lives, and their story is now being told across 2 nations. The devastation in Central Texas continues to unfold, with 104 lives now confirmed lost across the state following the catastrophic Hill Country floods. The hardest hit region is Kerr County, where floodwaters tore through communities in the early morning hours of July 5th. At least 84 people have died here alone, including 28 children, many of them campers at Camp Mystic, a Christian summer retreat that was nearly wiped off the map. Among the dead, 27 campers and staff members from Camp Mystic. What began as a peaceful night by the Guadalupe River turned into a nightmare when the water rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes, sweeping away cabins, belongings, and lives. As of today, approximately 10 young girls and 1 counselor are still unaccounted for. Search and rescue operations continue by air, land, and water, but hopes are fading with each passing day. Families cling to prayer, volunteers dig through wreckage, and across the state, a haunting question echoes. Could this have been prevented? This event is now being called one of the deadliest flash floods in modern U.S. history, not only in terms of lives lost, but because of who was lost. Children, counselors, whole families. And as the rain begins to fall again, the people of Hill Country are still waiting for answers, for accountability, and for justice. Our hearts go out with all the victims and their families. Chronicles of Olivia. These stories matter, and I couldn't do this without your support. If you believe in the work I'm doing, please consider joining my Patreon. Every contribution goes directly towards travel, equipment, and getting these voices heard. Thank you.